What's up guys, this is Merc Music and welcome to my honest review of the Modern Warfare 2 campaign. The new Modern Warfare 2 campaign was available a little bit over a week before the full launch of the game, and I streamed the entire campaign live. For me personally, that was the longest live stream I've ever done, and it was just really hype. So if you guys want to see the entire campaign playthrough on the channel, I'll have a link in the description below. But yes, the Modern Warfare 2 campaign was great and it had some incredible moments, but there were also a lot of strange moments and also things that either didn't totally make sense or flow well. I am going to be starting this video by talking about the positives first, but I'm also going to be talking about things that definitely need improving and things that were just straight up bad. But most importantly, I do need to let you guys know that I am going to be covering the post-credit scene for the game as well, and if you're trying to avoid spoilers, you might want to avoid this video until you've played the campaign yourself. However, if you do still want to watch this video, I will be giving spoiler warnings every single time I'm going to talk about a spoiler. So with that being said, let's talk about what is good in the Modern Warfare 2 campaign. Right off the bat, if you pre-order this game digitally on any platform, you could play it a week early before the multiplayer takes over and Warzone 2 takes over. Right off the bat, I think that is not only a genius move, but this needs to continue moving forward for Call of Duty games. I can understand why some people might be hesitant to care about the Call of Duty campaign because you can usually finish them pretty quickly, and sometimes they're not even all that good. But in my opinion, the Modern Warfare 2019 campaign was incredible, and the Modern Warfare 2 campaign is really good as well, and I think it's worth pre-ordering the game so that way you can play it early. And as I'm sure we can all tell, the game looks amazing. I mean, graphically, the game is stunning, and the art direction is fantastic. There's been a lot of discussion about how lifelike Amsterdam in the Modern Warfare 2 campaign looks. Same goes for the characters as well. I mean, everything is just so real looking, and we get to see a lot of Soap and Ghost this time around. I also thought that there was a nice balance between stealth and chaotic missions like Call of Duty 4, which always had this recurring theme of the US Marines having these over-the-top, badass, and like loud missions versus the British SAS having these stealthier, more quiet, and kind of laid-back missions. Another thing I noticed while playing the Modern Warfare 2 campaign, especially doing it live, is that there is a lot of tension in this campaign. You really do feel like there are more consequences for your actions than ever before, and you will be punished for making the wrong moves. This game's campaign will require you to adapt and adjust. And while I do find this to be a positive, I think it's also a negative, but you'll see why later in the video. But I do think that this campaign, at least on regular, is more difficult than a typical Call of Duty campaign, which I have no problem with. But if you're looking to play the Modern Warfare 2 campaign and you really don't want to have to deal with the game being difficult at all, I would definitely recommend Recruit, purely if you want to experience the story. But if you want some difficulty in there as well, then I think regular is pretty good. Just know that it will get tough at times. No! I'm just trying to get out of there. I also thought that there was a nice contrast between more linear missions with a set direction versus missions that are a little more open and allow for more freedom of choice. And I really like the campaign's main menu music theme for Modern Warfare 2 as well. It's a huge nod to the previous Modern Warfare, taking that iconic theme, but also blending the cello part from the Piccadilly Circus theme from Modern Warfare 2019. I thought that was really interesting. And while I'm sure there's a lot more positive things I could say about this game's campaign, we're gonna be moving on to the things that I found to be just kind of meh. Things that could have definitely used some improvement. Let's talk about the lack of intel hunting. Going after intel in Call of Duty campaigns is actually one of the most fun things you can do. It's essentially like Easter egg hunting. In previous Call of Duty campaigns, you would typically be looking for a laptop which contains intel, and if you collect a certain amount, you could also unlock fun little cheats that you could use in the campaign, which added a lot of fun and replay value to the campaign. The Modern Warfare 2 campaign does not have this, but at the same time, the Modern Warfare 2019 campaign didn't have it either. Now, to be fair, I don't know if this is something that Infinity Ward has ever addressed for the current Modern Warfare reboot games, but it's something that I would like to see come back. Trying to look for intel in the Call of Duty campaigns has always been a fun little side quest. It gives you something extra to do, and it just feels like it's missing. But yeah, let's move on to the story for the Modern Warfare 2 campaign. It felt very different than Modern Warfare 2019, and it pivots quite a lot from what we experienced in the last game. This was to be expected though. I mean, it was pretty obvious from the marketing for this game that things were going to change. But at the same time, there were some loose ends that needed tying from the last Modern Warfare game, and we don't get closure on that in this game, which is kind of frustrating. We don't fully know what happens to Alex or Hadir after the Modern Warfare campaign. And light spoiler inbound. Farah is literally only in one mission in this campaign. Now, I will be going into more detail later with some theories about why this is the case, but purely for the sake of this game, Modern Warfare 2, it's a little disappointing. It would have been nice to see the story pick up from where it left off, but this game's story takes a completely different direction instead. It's not a bad one, and Infinity Ward did a pretty good job with some of the new characters in the game, but don't go into the Modern Warfare 2 campaign expecting some resolution from the previous game. If you do, you might end up disappointed. Another thing that was kind of annoying, but not necessarily a full-blown negative, was how dragged out some of the missions were. There's basically an all gillied up 2 mission in this game, and at first the pacing is great, and it feels like it's gonna have the same vibe as the original original mission, but then it kind of turns into this more open world-esque mission where you can approach breaching buildings differently, but your best bet, even on an easier difficulty, is using fart grenades to flush the enemies out into the open so Price can just snipe them, because the armored enemies are very difficult to deal with on your own and they are so annoying. I don't mind that Infinity Ward is trying to do some different things with the campaign, but all I'm saying is that I don't think that it's possible to top the original masterpiece, all gillied up. But I do feel like they were sort of coming close. I just think that the mission might have needed more direction instead of kind of changing up the pace and the flow of how the mission went. There was also a really dragged out convoy mission, which again started off with some really badass moments, but then the game's pace gets halted to a diseased hippo begging to be put down. It just felt like it took way too damn long for this mission to end once it got going, and it felt like it had to be done in order to pad out the timing of the campaign, because at least on regular, it took about 6 hours to complete the entire campaign. But if you subtracted this kind of nonsense from the game, it probably would have been more like 4 to 5 hours. Even though that's a pretty short single player compared to other games, it's still a quality campaign, but it gets bogged down with filler content that doesn't need to go on for this long. If Infinity Ward or any other studio decides to implement this kind of gameplay again, I just think it could be done better. I don't think it's necessarily terrible, but it just needs to feel more alive and have more variety. Especially that convoy mission, man. I mean, I swear, the AI drive the trucks more like Teslas in autopilot than real enemies trying to kill you and knock you off the road. It just didn't really feel right. And lastly, this isn't necessarily a positive or a negative for the game, but there was an unusual amount of references to the enemies being called squirters in the campaign. I don't think we've ever heard this in a previous Call of Duty single player, and I'm not about to try to Google what a military grade squirter is, because we all know that's a side effect of eating 20 pounds of Taco Bell. But yeah, there was definitely some iffy and repetitive dialogue here and there. But guys, now we're gonna be moving on to the negatives. Really, there weren't a ton of negatives in this game's campaign, in my opinion, but I'm not gonna lie, I hated the camera section of the prison break mission. This was a mechanic in the previous Modern Warfare where you had to guide an assistant around and away from the enemies using cameras. Even back then, I found the mission tedious, unrewarding, and unsatisfying. It takes the pace of a Call of Duty campaign experience and it obliterates it harder than Gorbani at the beginning of this campaign. Now, I do understand it's to add some variety, some flavor to the game and slow down the pacing of the game, but the game already has a relatively slow pace. The new Modern Warfare 2 campaign is one of the more slow and realistic and tactical COD games I've seen, but dragging out this boring feature from Modern Warfare 2019 and having to guide Ghost to plant 4 bombs on enemy vehicles was honestly just kind of lame. Imagine if instead of guiding Ghost around, you, I don't know, actually just played as him and did everything yourself. It was so disappointing to have to tell Ghost where to go, only to watch him die because he can't shoot certain enemies in certain scenarios. If you make the wrong move that the game just doesn't see fit, Ghost will just stand there and accept his fate, which is death. I just think the whole camera guiding mechanic is goofy and it doesn't add anything significant to the game. I can totally understand and see what Infinity Ward was going for with the all gillied up 2 mission and the convoy mission, but dragging out the camera sequence in this game was abysmal. I also didn't like how underwhelming the end of the game was. Warning! Spoilers inbound. Infinity Ward introduced us to a crafting system that allows you to create makeshift items when Soap is stranded and trying to make his way back to Ghost. And the only other time that this crafting system returns is at the very last mission of the game, and it's just tedious and unnecessary, and the uselessness of this crafting just leads to a very unsatisfying ending. You spend all of this time trying to craft a prying tool so you can open a drawer and get a knife so you can do a takedown on an enemy, because if you don't, there's literally no other way to kill him. Trust me, I tried.
You wanna die there, buddy? You're not a juggernaut! What? Does this mean anything to you? I actually can't believe that.
But even once you figure it out and you finally do it, Hassan still just captures and kills Soap anyway. Or at least he tried to, but instead you switch your point of view to Ghost and you snipe him and you save the day. Yippee! Yeah, the whole lead up to Hassan was just kind of disappointing because you spend multiple missions trying to hunt him down with no luck. Your own people get captured and interrogated, and by the end of it all, you don't get this crazy satisfying moment like in the original Modern Warfare games, especially in the original Modern Warfare 2 with the standoff against General Shepard, or Modern Warfare 3 where you fight against Makarov. It just pulls you out of the moment, and it doesn't feel like there's consequences for messing up. I literally missed the first sniper shot on Hassan, and he still didn't kill Soap. Oh, and the lead antagonists of this game really aren't even all that cool or evil. Honestly, they're kind of just a bunch of campers. I mean, sentinels. They're either constantly running away from you or they're hiding somewhere. They don't pose an imminent threat or try to fight back. They just sit around waiting to die. The majority of the conflict that you fight against and feel in the game is against armored enemies. But even then, the Modern Warfare 2 campaign, in my opinion, still has a pretty weak climax. I mean, you don't even get to fight a juggernaut like you did in the last Modern Warfare campaign. And essentially, the main villains of the campaign don't even really feel like boss fights or anything remotely close to that. They just kind of die easily, which I really can't deny. It's kind of unsatisfying. Again, I like the Modern Warfare 2 campaign, but I think there were definitely certain parts of the campaign that could have been more engaging and kept up the intensity and tension that I felt in other sections of the game, especially for the key moments of the campaign. In my opinion, the game started off pretty strong and it had some great moments here and there, but it struggled to maintain that consistency by forcing us to have to do certain things, ultimately killing the flow of the game every so often. But guys, I can't deny it. This game's final cutscene and post-credit scene is everything. I literally just uploaded the post-credit scene raw to the channel because it is so fucking hype. It's like when Marvel first started doing post-credit scenes for their movies, before every single Marvel movie had a post-credit scene. Let's talk about the post-game for the Modern Warfare 2 campaign. Warning! Major Modern Warfare 2 campaign spoilers inbound. The end of the Modern Warfare 2 campaign confirms that General Shepard and Shadow Company are the bad guys, and that Makarov will be making an appearance in either a Modern Warfare 2 campaign expansion or Modern Warfare 3. The post-credit scene for this game is reminiscent of the plane mission from Modern Warfare 3, but Makarov is essentially putting together a ghost gun, and Infinity Ward may or may not be reintroducing us to another controversial no Russian mission. Now, I personally don't mind this at all. It's just a video game at the end of the day, and the newer Modern Warfare campaign reboots have done a good job of showing us why war is terrifying and horrible. It's not meant to be glorified. It's to serve as a reminder that war is cruel and deadly, and I prefer that a Modern Warfare game demonstrates this versus serving us up some softball garbage that either isn't realistic or it doesn't make any sense. That being said, the most interesting part of this scene is that it either hints at a campaign expansion or potentially another one or two upcoming Modern Warfare games. The reason I say this is because in the original Modern Warfare series, General Shepard is dead by the second game and Makarov is dead by the third. And so far in this alternate timeline for the Modern Warfare series, General Shepard and Makarov are still both alive. And there's also a ton of potential for further developing the plot surrounding Farah, Alex, and Hadir, as well as Shadow Company. So I'm curious to see if the story will continue to develop later on in this game, or if we will see it continue in Modern Warfare 3 or potentially a Modern Warfare 4. But that's gonna do it for my review of the Modern Warfare 2 campaign. I know it seems a little weird to make a review for just the campaign, especially since it's not much longer than an average Call of Duty campaign, and we don't know 100% if we're getting a campaign expansion. But I figured I'd share my thoughts on it with you guys, and overall, I would highly recommend playing it and experiencing it for yourself, since I consider it to be one of the better Call of Duty campaigns. And with that being said, I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did and you're excited for the Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer and Warzone 2, make sure to drop a like. I'll see you guys later.
Oh, that's not great. That's not great. Bro. You don't shot! You should be dead! I shot that man twice, just like the other guy.